Well, I still decided to try, driving as a taxi driver for Uber because I like the job I'm doing now. It's not, too difficult. First couple of weeks were difficult, but the money definitely can be better. Right now I'm only making 23 bucks an hour, Canadian, of course, and they promise extra dollar per hour once I'm with the company for 3 months, which will happen in 1 month. So if they're gonna do a review, so if they do that, then overtime becomes time and a half. So from 35 bucks becomes 36, right? And for example, today I was supposed to leave at 4. I left at 4:30. So I worked 30 minutes at the overtime rate of 35 bucks an hour. So, especially in the summer, they say that they're very busy. So I expect lots of overtime. So, 35, 36 bucks an hour, that's already, decent paycheck. But for now, it just, I pretty much make like $1,000 a week after tax. It's not enough. I have lots of bills, and so I decided to, since now I have class 1 license, in class 1 you can drive a bus, you can drive an ambulance, a taxi, anything in Alberta, right? Otherwise, when I had class 5, Uber required class 4 license, like upgraded license, in order to drive for them here in Alberta. And so what was confusing is that I already have the Uber driver app on my phone, and I see other people saying that you can activate either deliveries or what they call them, rides. Like you would see like 2 icons in your menu there. Like, what are you doing? You want to do rides, like you want to do passengers, or you want to do deliveries, or both, right? But in my case, when I go there, all I see is deliveries, right? And there's no option to add, like, how do I add that functionality that I want to start the registration process for the, passenger taxi driver? And so I chatted online with support a couple of times, and what they told me is that it's kind of like a bit crazy, but you cannot use the same email account with Uber Taxi as what you're using with Uber Eats. And so this guy told me, I just got off the phone. He says, so step 1, you gotta get a new email address. You can use the same phone number, but you have to use a new email address and register a second account as Uber driver, but for taxi, right? And again, that still was confusing. So I said, wait, I don't see that option anywhere. Like when I'm in my app, Uber driver for Eats, I don't see an option. How do you add a second account? I said, do I have to sign out? It just occurred to me, so maybe I have to sign out. And the guy in the chat says, yeah, you have to sign out out of your Uber Eats. Oh yeah, and I was also asking him, I said, do I have to download Uber driver app again and just then create new account? Like, I don't know why they made it so complicated, but he says, no, you can use the same app. It's just you have to log out from your existing account as Uber Eats driver, and then you have to create a new account. And the most important thing is the new email address, right? So the email address you're using for taxi should be different from what you're using for deliveries. And so I went online and I registered a free email account, made sure it works, set it up on my phone, that was step 1. So now step 2, I'm ready to create. I logged out. Yeah, that was step 2. So step 2 was I logged out of my existing account as a food delivery driver. And when I opened the app, it says log in. Basically, you can log in either with your email address or your phone number. Of course, I don't want to log in with my phone number because then it'll log me into my Uber Eats account. So the plan now is to, I don't want to do it now. I'm too tired. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. But I'll try to create a new account with this new email address I just created, and say, and just, I'm guessing they're gonna give me an option what you want to do, food deliveries or taxi. And then there should be kind of like what I had before when I was starting this with Uber Eats. They give you like a checklist, right? Okay, like step 1, do this, send us a copy of your driver's license. Step 2, let's say, do a background check, take a picture of your 5-year driver's abstract, stuff like that. So they give you the checklist and you just follow that one. And I know that with taxi it's much more complicated than with Uber Eats account, because you have to inspect your vehicle, you have to take an online course which is required for limo drivers and taxi drivers, but that's just for Calgary, where I'm at, Calgary, Alberta. I don't think you need that in other parts of Canada, but it depends on the city. Basically, whatever the authorities decided that Uber drivers need for that city. And so this one, I think, yeah, you have to pay for that course. You have to take that course. It's pretty much like customer service, how to work with passengers, right? So I think it's it's useful, how to be polite, be on time, stuff like that, be neat, keep your car clean, right? But still, there's a lot of, and then of course background check. They're gonna do a criminal record check. It's gonna take like 2-3 weeks, easy. But the main thing is that I have class 1 license, so that's the biggest obstacle for most people in Alberta, is that your regular license is class 5 and you cannot drive for Uber with a regular license unless you're in Ontario, where in Ontario regular license for cars is G, because they have letters over there, not numbers, so it's class G. And in Ontario all you need for Uber is class G. I don't know why here in Alberta they require a separate class which is considered professional license, like commercial license, because class 4, what they require, that's the one you need to drive an ambulance, a small bus up to 24 passengers, I think, and taxi. So as long as you mention taxi, that's it. They say no, you cannot use class 5, you need class 4. But lucky for me, I was able to get back my class 1, and so class 1 covers all these. And even class 2, I can drive a large bus, I can drive a dump truck, class 3 or 10-ton truck, and I can drive a taxi or ambulance. And again, so since I'm not making enough money with this job, at least now it's still not that busy as they promised me. And again, I'm only getting $23 an hour. So I want to try to do this. I didn't want to do it before because I noticed I was putting too many kilometers or miles on my Jeep. And so now it's less than 1 year old, and I have about 20,300 kilometers on it, because I was doing this Uber Eats and DoorDash, and it was roughly at least 100 kilometers a day, because I was doing it full time in the beginning of the year, right? Because I didn't have a job. And I decided to stop doing that after I found this job here. But the thing is, my workplace, like back and forth, I only do 14 kilometers, which is, I don't know, 8 miles a day. That's it. And so I have a bike, so when the weather's good, I can even use a bike to get to work. And so now I definitely put very little mileage on my Jeep, and so I was thinking that, you know, as long as I stay within, let's say, 2,000 kilometers a month, that should not impact the resale value of the car. And so the plan is just, you know, a few nights a week, when I don't feel too tired after working my main job, just jump in the Jeep and do some taxi work, you know, like specifically on weekends and Fridays, right? But I know many people were saying that don't do Friday nights because there's too many drunk people, and then you don't want to clean up vomit inside your car after the shift. But still, you know, the plan is, if I could make extra $1,000 a month doing Uber 2-3 nights a week, so that would be awesome. And so the first step was talking to the support, right? Finding out how it works. And so I found out that I do need a second account, and for that you need a separate email address. And so that was all like big step 1, right? So now step 2, we'll see what they ask me for next. But I'm gonna do this series of videos, basically how I became a Uber taxi driver, and we'll split them in steps, so that, you know, if you're interested in this, then you'll have a clear picture of how to become a Uber taxi driver in Canada, right? So maybe we'll call it how I became a Uber driver in Calgary, Alberta, step 1, and then step 2, step 3, step 4. And I think it might be useful to some people. Actually, today I was doing deliveries. No, I was doing a pickup for my job. I went to a place where they make ladders for construction guys, right? And this guy was just doing something outside. He was sweeping the pavement or something, and he looks at me kind of like funny, and he says, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" He says, Uber Eats, right? And I said, "Yeah, among other things, I did a few videos about, you know, Uber Eats and DoorDash." And he says, "Yeah," and he says, "Yeah, I saw that." He says, "Pretty helpful." He says, "Thank you." I said, "Yeah, you're welcome." I said, "Now I'm trying to get into Uber taxi, so keep watching." Okay, so this was the first video in this series, how I went from Uber Eats to Uber taxi in Calgary, Alberta. And then of course I'm gonna do I'm interested myself how much money you can make, you know, realistically, like in one night, or I don't know, in one day, in one weekend, because lots of people are complaining about Calgary, saying that it's too cheap, you cannot survive. Lots of people are leaving Uber taxi just because it's a waste of time. So, but I don't trust these people, because my belief is that not everybody can be self-employed, okay? And to be a driver like that for Uber taxi, you have to have your wits about you, so you have to know which rights to decline, which to accept. You need to know which area of the city and what time you have to be at. So I don't know, it's not as simple as being a company driver, right? And so my belief is that a lot of information online about Uber is incorrect, and so we're gonna correct that. So stay tuned. I'm gonna give you the truth, but first we're gonna go through these steps on how to become kind of like licensed, properly registered as a Uber taxi driver in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This might not apply to other regions of North America, but this is specifically for Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and this is how I did it.